Alright everybody, welcome along to Your Physique Radio. This is episode number 2. As we speak, it's Sunday, June 3rd, and Craig, it's been a busy week for us. We've had some good feedback on both sides. Let the listeners know what you've been hearing down there in Kerry.
Yeah, I've got some great feedback, especially from guys in my gym asking me questions, and can you ask this on the radio show, can you ask that, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so it's been fantastic, and all positive so far. So I'm happy, Colin. We're 1 week old. It's early days. We're only going to go up and up. So
absolutely.
Onwards, mate.
Just to give the listeners an idea of who is tuning in, and to say thanks to those who are listening right now and who listened to the first show. And you know, we do appreciate that you're taking the time out of your day to tune into our show and see what's going on in the bodybuilding world. We've had listeners in Ghana. That's in Africa, guys, for those who don't know. We've had listeners in Turkey, the United States, across the British Isles, and of course back home in Ireland. So totally we have 127 unique listeners to the show. It might not sound like a lot to some of you guys out there, but believe me, first episode, first show, for us, we're doing good, Craig. I'm pretty damn happy with those numbers. How about you?
Oh, yes, absolutely, Colin. Me too, mate. Me too. To get over 100 in our first week is incredible. Just onwards to 1,000 now.
Absolutely. Alright, Craig, well, let's kick off the show, and we're going to kick forward straight away with competition coverage. This past weekend, so just finished up last night, was the Toronto Pro Show. They had an open class and a 212. And Craig, how did you see the results coming down? Last week we made a prediction. I was correct. You were not. I hate to say it, but you know, how did you see the top 5, and let the listeners know who they were?
Well, congratulations anyway, Colin, on getting your guesses right.
Thanks,
But yeah, so in the open class we had coming in first place with Bill Wilmore, second place John De La Rosa, third Gregory Atoyan, fourth Vaughan Etienne, and running out the top 5 was Chris White. To me, Bill deserves his first place, and personally I'm glad, because he's one of the nice guys of bodybuilding. He really is. We met him, Colin, in Limerick a few years back.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
And he works his tail off year after year and doesn't get as much credit as probably he deserves. In second place, John De La Rosa, he looked very good this week, even better than he did in New York, so definitely deserves second. Gregory Atoyan, yeah, I probably had him in third as well, to be fair. His back is serious, like, from the back he probably won the show, but from the front not so much. Still a bit of work to do.
Yeah.
Vaughan Etienne again looked very good, and Chris White looked very sharp. Probably I would have flip-flopped Chris White and Vaughan Etienne. I probably would have had Chris White in fourth because of his freaky conditioning, and he's got the massive biceps that are split in two, and they're fantastic to look at. Just an aside note from the open class, Seth Rose, my tip for the top, came in 6th. Very disappointing, to be fair, and by his own accord as well. And there was a lot of hype before the show about him. So, but to his defence, he got sick 6 weeks out and 2 weeks out. And I heard himself and Hanny Rambod, his trainer, tried something different at prejudging with the glaze that stripped his tan and destroyed his colour. And if you see the pictures or the video, guys, you will see why. It also had a bit of reaction, he said, to his joints. It swole his joints a bit, making him look like he's holding a lot of water. Is that an excuse? I don't know, but you could see it. But like, yeah, I mean, in the video, there's a video of Seth put up. We'll post it pretty soon. He did say that there's no excuses. He did what he did. It was his own body. What I will say is he's only 27, Colin.
Yep. And
at 217 pounds, himself and Hanny could pretty much possibly look at going into the 212, which wouldn't be a bad idea, to be honest, because he looked like he could still lose another 5 or 6 pounds from his pictures. But all in all, the open class, a good lineup, well judged. The only probably thing I'd have is Chris White in 4th and Vaughan Etienne in 5th. How did you see it?
Well, I was picking Bill Wilmore to take first place just based on the fact that we haven't seen him. He's not going to take the time to come and compete in his first standard, say, IFBB Pro League show in the last couple of years. He did the Masters last year, but different kind of competition altogether. He came in, he looked big, he looked hard, he was quietly confident, as the true winners tend to be. Looking down the line then, John De La Rosa, he looked pretty good. Definitely wasn't close to coming in first. Grigori Atoyan, I just don't see this dude doing too well. He's big, but his shape, he has a silhouette, let's say. He has the wide shoulders and the legs, but he just doesn't look very, very pleasing. His front double bicep just looks smooth. His arms look good, but through the stomach he just looks smooth, and the chest kind of flattens out, and it's just not as good as I think a top 3 guy should be, even at one of these third tier shows, as they're called. Going on then to Ford Vaughan Etienne, he looked pretty good. Again, like you, I might have flip-flopped him with 5th place, so Christopher White might have jumped ahead of him to take 4th, but the judges see what they see. We can only look back on pictures as it is, because we're not at the shows. And to me, I'm honestly not very surprised with Seth Ferrossi placing in 6th. He was a 202 guy last year. He won his class. I mean, whether he got carried away with the fact that he won his first pro show and he jumped on up to the next stage too soon, who knows? But look, he came in 6th. There's no prize money for 6th place as far as I'm concerned. He doesn't deserve any either way. Go back to the drawing board, pal. I think you need to drop back down. 212, it's only 5 or 6 pounds less than you are. And like you said, Craig, if he just drops that extra bit of water he seems to be holding, he should be pretty damn close. He might have to sacrifice a pound or 2 of muscle, but he'll be the biggest guy in that class if he gets back down to 212. The rest of the guys, fair play for competing, but unless you're placing top 4, top 5, you're not going to get the airtime, I'm afraid. 212, Craig. I was definitely unaware that we had, I won't say a native Irishman, but definitely a guy who was living here in Ireland, in Derry, I believe, Mohammed Masoom. But he was entering in the 212 class. It's his first IFBB competition, his first competition period, I think, in over 5 years. He's a previous Asia bodybuilding champion and a Pakistan national champion. The guy looked incredible. He was working with Chris Aceto. I had heard his name mentioned before, but I wasn't aware he was actually living here in Ireland, back home with you in Ireland. Had you any idea yourself, or had you heard about Masoom before?
I'm ashamed to say I did not know he was living in Ireland.
Yeah.
But I do know, and we'll hopefully try and get in contact with the next week or 2, guys, and if all goes well, we might have a conversation or an interview with him. So, but as far as the lineup went, we both had Guy Cisternino winning this, and he came 4th. So, 3 other guys who you and me pretty much never heard of, to be honest, snuck in there. How did I see it going, Colin? The 212, to be honest, it was very close. It was way closer than the Open. Bill Wilmore ran away with the Open in my eyes. This was very close. From the videos and pictures I've seen, which is the only way we can judge, guys, I'd have given Masoom first and Lucas in second. But you see, the judges, like you said earlier on, Colin, are right there in front. We only get to see stills and pick videos from 8-10 rows back. So, I'm not going to argue with the judges there, but I'd probably be a bit biased now knowing Masoom is living in Ireland, and I kind of want to put forward and represent for him. That's probably why I picked him to be first, but he did look fantastic. And anyone working with Chris Aceto, their conditioning is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Let me see. He came out of nowhere, to be honest, as did Lucas Osladil, who eventually won the show. I hope I'm doing his name justice there, guys. Guy Cisternino came in 4th. Lyndon Belgrave 5th, and Ahmed in 6th. 4th, 5th and 6th are all guys I've heard of, so it just goes to show names don't win competitions, which is the way it should be. So well done to the judges. We have a couple of new guys now to add to the 212 Olympia top 10. What do you reckon, Colin?
Yeah,
new guys?
Yeah, I'm looking at the the rundown here and the winners, let's say, and their pictures. And first place, Lucas, I really think he does look good. He's definitely in condition, there's no question. Mohamed Masoom, but he looked phenomenal. Again, whether we're being a little bit biased because he's living in Ireland now, we'll take anybody who has anything got to do with them that's Irish, and we'll slap them on that Irish flag, and we'll take a winner as a winner. But again, it was definitely a toss-up. Online, the boards were lighting up, and they had Masoom Butt winning. Again, is it because he's working with Chris Aceto, and a lot of people do like Chris, or was he in fact good enough to be number one? On the day, he took second place, but there's no stopping him. I believe he's going to go forward and do the Dallas show. If he waits any later than that, I'd say just strike while the iron is hot. People know who you are now. They're going to expect you to come in conditioned. You've got everything done right. He also has a second diet coach, if you will, a friend of him. He's an English guy, I believe. He reckons that they need to take a couple of pounds off his lower half in terms of water weight. So he reckons his hamstrings were not in the way they should have been, so not in as good condition as they could have been. But to be honest, I'm looking at him and I can't see too many flaws. The only thing I can say is possibly get bigger, because I believe he was 200 pounds on the button, so he's got 12 pounds to grow into there. He is an older guy, he's in his 40s now at least, but well deserved second place, his first IFBB show. He's put a name out there for himself. He's done really, really well, but again, we can't take away from the winner, Lucas Osladil. He looked great, conditioning was down, he definitely had some good stage presence as well, and hats off, he took first place. He goes home with the prize money, and he's now qualified for the 212 showdown at the Olympia this coming September.
Absolutely. And you know what, them two guys, if they add a pound or two, both of them, and they come in a little bit crisper condition, Flex Lewis, Kevin English, they'll have some competition.
Yeah, that's the thing, these guys are the more conditioned. Looking at Lucas and Mohammed, they have the smaller frame, let's say. They're not standing up there looking huge. They look nice and crisp, they have good lines, and I really think that this time around it's going to be a competition of the best physique on stage, not the biggest physique on stage, and that's definitely what I prefer to see. I prefer the likes of Dexter Jackson taking the Olympia than a kind of blocky fridge type Jay Cutler. Don't get me wrong, he's packed with muscle, but he doesn't look as aesthetically pleasing to me as a Dexter Jackson. So just like these 212 guys here, I like the more streamlined, symmetrical guys. They look awesome, and it's as simple as that. I don't like the large, blocky waistlines, small trim waistlines, wide shoulders, wide legs. That's what's going to do it for me all day, every day. Craig, we're going to move on here now. We're going to go straight into our topics of the week. This week we have got two of them. The first up is going to be men's physique. Again, it has arrived, but is it here to stay? What are your views on men's physique? We touched on it very briefly last week. We've had a look back over some of the competitions in the past months, now that it is in the professional league. How do you see this category, let's say, of the IFBB? Is it going to stay around for a long time to come, or is it here for this year, next year, and then it's gone by the wayside?
Personally, Colin, I think it's here to stay. I think it's please don't take this the wrong way, but it's like the bikini of bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's be honest. The guys, they're wearing shorts, and it's not about overly big, huge muscle. So it's about being more symmetrical, which is a good thing. You know what I mean? Because not every guy who's in the gym wants to be Ronnie Coleman. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you see, we gotta say, let's face it, the IFBB, the NPC originally realised that they could get more competitors into competitions this way. More competitors mean more fans in the seats, more family and friends coming to watch, and evidently that's going to bring along more money. Then that worked out well. They need to continue and have somewhere for these amateurs to go, so they send them on to the IFBB Pro ranks, and again, it means more money for the IFBB. It's going to make life easier for them in terms of creating prize money, sponsoring shows. There's more investors going to be willing to take place, because again, the guys are more aesthetic, they look better on stage to the average Joe, and they're definitely more marketable. Does it take away from bodybuilding?
Yeah.
I think it's a different competition. So if you want to see men's physique, go watch men's physique. If you want to see bodybuilding, stay till the end of the night and you got your bodybuilding. But like you said, I think it is here to stay as well. It's going to hang on for quite a while. Craig, tell us what the rules and regulations are to it. I mean, what are the judges really looking for? What's being judged? What's the competition really about?
Okay guys, I'll just do a quick run through there if anyone's interested in the men's physique rules and regulations. So the guidelines will be muscularity and body condition. Judges will be looking for fit contestants to display proper shape and symmetry combined with muscularity and overall conditioning. This is not a bodybuilding contest, guys, so extreme muscularity will be marked down and should be marked down. Your stage presence and personality. The contestants will be asked to walk in board shorts. Shorts that are just above the knee in length and can be up to 1 inch below the belly button. There's no spandex, no logos are permitted on the board shorts. However, the manufacturer's logos such as Nike, Billabong, etc., they're acceptable as logos. The competitors will all enter the stage without a shirt and in bare feet, and no lewd acts will be allowed. They're also looking for the contestants with the best stage presence and poise, and who can successfully convey his personality to the audience. Now, the judging, I leave it over to you, Colin, if you want to take this, yeah?
Yeah, sure. There's 3 categories basically. You've got presentation, the comparison round, and there's the 2 main categories. So basically, the presentation is based on the competitors walking to the centre of the stage on their own to perform quarter turns, just as you would in bodybuilding. So you're facing the judges dead straight. You turn quarter turn to your left, to your right, until eventually you're back to the front again. Basically, that allows the judges to see your body from all the angles. You're not allowed flex. Well, I won't say you're not allowed flex, but it's not encouraged because they don't want to see hard muscle. They want to see muscle, but they don't want to see it in a flexed position, let's say. So they don't want you doing a front double bicep up there or a most muscular of your choice. You know, it's very much you're going to look really, really good if you're standing on the beach with a pair of sunglasses on. That's what they're kind of looking for. That's the presentation. So they're really looking for the 4 sides, face the judges. Hand can be on your hip or in your pocket, so it's more of a casual thing than the bodybuilding. Then you've got your comparison round. As it suggests, you're going to stand out there, you're going to be grouped with guys of similar condition or similar shape physiques, and the judges then will have the opportunity to compare each of the competitors against each other, and they will also do those quarter turns again. So there's some aspect of the bodybuilding judging to it in that you stand in comparison with your competitors, but you're not flexing on stage, you're not doing any of the 7 mandatory poses, you're just standing up there looking as good as you can in a pair of long shorts. And guys, they're not GAA shorts, by the way, they're kind of beach surfing shorts. No 3-striped O'Neill shorts up on stage, please. And there is also a point that they do make, that you're not allowed to cross over from men's physique into the men's bodybuilding. Basically it's just, if you're going to compete in a bodybuilding competition, you shouldn't be in the men's physique, and likewise, you're either one or the other, and that should definitely be the case, and the judges should also realise that.
Yeah.
Craig, anything else you want to add to the men's physique?
Yeah, actually, Colin, I'll just give one more thing, mate. Actually, like I said, I do think there is a place for men's physique in the bodybuilding circles, but in Toronto this past weekend, the men's physique was cancelled due to lack of interest. So
really? I wasn't actually aware of that.
Yeah, that's interesting. It was cancelled due to lack of interest. So I'm sure that's just a little blip, to be honest. Maybe the Canadians haven't taken it like the Americans have yet, but I do think it's going forward. Because you mentioned earlier, Colin, the men in it will be more marketable, and that's, at the end of the day, money talks.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why any business is kind of set up at the end of the day, is to make a profit. And you can't blame the NPC or the IFBB for adding that category, because they have to make a wage and they have to keep it running. If they feel that by adding this category that they're doing so, and they're allowing the bodybuilding shows to keep going forwards. Well, we need a platform, we need to be seen. You know, anyone who says it's ruining bodybuilding, you need to look at it from a different aspect. It's absolutely not ruining it. It can only help us. The more shows that are on stage is qualified by how much money is in the back of the IFBB's pockets. So yeah, we're going forwards, Craig. We'll move on now away from that. We'll come back slightly to mention a men's physique style competition that's being held here in Ireland in the upcoming months. We'll leave that later on in the show. But next up, we're going to move on to our second topic of the week, and it's the Mr. Olympia point system. For those who don't know, this year is the first year that the IFBB have put a point system in place. So basically how it works is the top 5 from the previous Olympia automatically qualify for the next Olympia, and then each winner of each show throughout the year also qualifies. Now there is points for second place, third place, fourth place, etc. Craig, do you want to go over who's currently qualified for the Olympia 2012?
Okay, do you know what? I'll start with the 212.
Go for it.
Okay, so 212 who currently are qualified for the 212 Mr. Olympia as of this weekend, or actually just before this weekend, before Toronto, we have Kevin English, James Flex Lewis, Jose Raymond, Yaroslav Hovart, Stan McRae, Lyndon Belgrave, Fernando de la Media Noranda, he's in Brazil, P. Jackson, Angel Manuel Rangel Vargas, Peter Vanis, and Al Agosti. They've all qualified. Okay. Now, in the points standings, we have Marco Rovera, who's at the top at the moment, with 11 points. Sean Joseph Tavernier in England, 7 points. Sami Al-Haddad, 5 points. Mark Dugdale, 4 points. Milton Holloway, 3 points. Raul Carrasco Jimenez, 3 points. Rusty Jeffers, 2. Amit Sapir, 2. Nate Woolsey, 2. Darren Little, 2. Guy Cisternino, 2. Rod Kitchens with 1 point. Nana Kwasi Afosu Manu, 1 point. Hope I got your name right. And round off, Vinny Galante has 1 point. How about the open category, Colin? Can you give us a run through of
in the open for so I'll let you know who's qualified first up. Of course, we got Phil Heath, Jay Cutler, Kai Green, Victor Martinez. Victor's one is based on his Arnold Classic Europe win. Dexter Jackson is in there, Ronnie Rockel, Lionel Boyiki, Branch Warren, Dennis Wolfe, Evan Santapani, Michael Kefalianis, Johnny Jackson, Cedric McMillan, and then yesterday's newly qualified athlete is Bill Wilmore. Following the points then, these are as of yesterday, so they may have changed considering that some of those competitors would have gained points. However, at the moment, the way I see it, we've got Ben Pekulski with 10 points, and this is the top 5 guys will qualify for the Olympia. So we've Ben Pekulski in first with 10, Balto Abbaspor from Iran with 5, Tony Freeman, USA with 4 points, Sergio Shelstov from Russia with 4 points, Steve Kuklo, USA 4 points, Fawad Abiad, Canada 3 points, Flex Lewis 3 points, Omar Decker 3 points, Faraz Saeed from Italy 3 points, Juan Morel, USA 3 points. So all those guys are tied in 6th on 3 points. There's 5 of them there at the moment. So they really need to get into a show to get into that top 5 placing. Sean Roden is in there with 2 points. Darren Okigawa from New Zealand, 2 points. Jonathan De La Rosa, 2 points. He's obviously gone up now. He's probably on about 4 points because of his second place finish. His third place finish yesterday, I believe. Eduardo Correa, 1 point, and Luke Timms from Australia, 1 point. So it's pretty tight there. The guys who are in are in. You probably won't see them again until Olympia time. But the guys who are currently trying to qualify, so it's basically the top 5 highest points, you know, they really need to work. We've got 3 guys tied for third place, so they're automatically the top 3, 4 and 5, let's say. The guys who are in 6th, there's 5 of them tied up at 6th. One of them has to come out and either win a show or place second to jump forwards and make it into those top 5 qualifying places, and then they will be on the Olympia stage 2012 if they choose to do so. Now, I don't believe, Craig, there used to be an option where if you were qualified for the Olympia you could bypass it for 1 year. I think that option is now gone. So if you're qualified and you don't attend, you need to requalify the next year, which to me makes perfect sense. You should be rewarded for your previous year, not the 2 years prior to that. I like the point system, Craig. It's something that you and I spoke about many years ago, actually, probably 4 or 5 years ago, that we thought it would encourage people to compete more, would give fans more to go and see. And again, the IFBB themselves would benefit as more fans, as more seats sold, more money in their pockets. So I'm surprised it took them so long to put this in place. How about you?
Yeah, absolutely, Colin, mate. That is true. It's probably 2007, maybe early 2008 when we came up with this idea. And it can only help the IFBB. Can only help them, absolutely. Yeah. Gives other guys a chance who mightn't win the big shows but can get in there on points. And if you get your pro card, and look the likes of Bill Wilmore, perfect example, an absolutely really, really hard worker. I know, look, he won a show, which is great, but say he got second yesterday and another few seconds, the guy, for me, still deserves to be on an Olympia stage. So if he'd have got there through points, you've had to take your hat off to them, and anybody that does it through points, because over a 12-month period, you probably have to get it maybe 1 or 2 seconds, or 1 or 2 seconds and a third maybe to qualify. So that means you're probably doing 3 competitions before the Olympia. So again, that takes a lot of work. So hats off to them. I'll just actually read the actual point system. Did you read the point system yet, Colin?
I didn't actually go through how many points you accrue for each show, so you give that a run there. Okay,
so on a tier 1 show, guys, which would be your Ireland Classic, your first place obviously qualifies. Second place gets 8 points, third place 7, fourth place 6, and fifth place 5 points. Now, Colin said there was 5 guys tied in 6th. So if they came 5th at the Ireland Classic, which isn't that out of the way, that could be a big jump and a big help here. Tier 2, your Chiru Classic or the Ireland Classic Europe, your second place will get 6 points, third place 5th, fourth place 4th, and fifth place 3 points. Your tier 3 and tier 4, Colin, do you want to read out the point system for them?
Actually, you go ahead there. I don't have that info right in front of me here at the moment.
Oh yeah, sure, okay, mate. Well, the New York Pro, that'd be a third tier show, and that our second place would have 5 points, third place would have 4, fourth place would have 3, and fifth place would have 2 points. And finally, your 4 tier competitions, so all your other competitions, your second place would have 4, third would have 3, fourth place would have 2 points, and finishing off fifth place with 1 point. So that's how the point system works, guys. I hope it makes sense. If any of you need that read out again or emailed to you or anything, just like I said, hit us on Facebook and we can email it over to you, okay?
Alright.
So
Craig,
what's next, Colin?
Let's go briefly back to the men's physique style competition, let's call it, that's being run in Carlow in the upcoming months.
Yes.
I was in touch with Olympia Gym's owners, which is Yanni and Nicoletta, or Yanni, which is Relu, I believe, R-E-L-U, and Nicoletta. They are organising the event. They're calling it the Ireland's Fitness Extravaganza, and basically it's a fitness modelling competition. This is information coming from Nicoletta herself, who got in touch with us, so thank you for giving us the info. It's on the 8th of September in 2012 in Carlow at the Dolman Hotel. Craig, there are different categories in here. We have under 21 men, under 21 women, men over 21 tall class, which is 175 and above, and you've got men's over 21 short class, let's call them, 175. I'd fall into that category, I'm afraid to say. And then we've got the women's under 21, 165 and over centimetres, and we've also got the 165 and under. There is a men's over 40 and women's over 40 as well, so it's years of age, obviously. The men's class comprises of 3 rounds. One is in Speedos, the second is in black trousers, black shoes, white collar and cuffs with a dicky bow. Note, there is no actual shirt. So, you know...
Did you just say a dicky bow?
I did say a dicky bow, Craig. So, you know, take it for what you will, but, you know, you're definitely displaying your upper half physique like you would in men's physique. But bear in mind, you will have to wear a collar, dicky bow and cuffs with no actual shirt. And pants and dress shoes, yes. So basically, I think that what they're looking for there is like a Chippendale type of look. So you're going to look good, you're going to be in shape, you're going to have muscle, you're going to be lean, but you're not doing a men's physique or a bodybuilding show, let's say. It's something slightly different. There are more information for them. For the ladies then, they've got 2 rounds. One is in a high cut Brazilian bikini, and round 2 is in a sleeveless evening dress. Each of the categories, both men and women, will also have a 3rd round, which is basically a free routine of their choice. Now, what you can do in that routine, I'm not quite sure, considering the guys will be in collars, dicky bows, and cuffs with pants. You know, I'm sure there's 1 or 2 are going to do some, as the IFBB would call it, lewd acts. But, you know, it's all for fun. There's these 2 people, Nicoletta and Johnny, they're pretty big names in the Irish bodybuilding scene. They compete, they attend the shows, they have a gym in Carlow, Olympia gym in Carlow. It's in College Street. You know, they're definitely someone that you do want to support within the community of bodybuilding. So if you are in town on September 8th, 2012, the Dolman Hotel in Carlow will be hosting the event. For more information, or if you're looking to sponsor the event itself, you can go to their website. And that website is www.fitnessextravaganzaireland.com, and the phone numbers will be on the website as well. And there is a charity for this. It's Sama's Second Skin and Muscular Dystrophy Ireland. So there is a good cause involved, guys. So if you can get down there to Carlow on September 8th, I'm sure they would love to have you. Pricing and ticket information will be on their website, so go and check it out again. It's fitnessextravaganzaireland.com. Craig, anything you want to say about that, or what are your thoughts on the rounds, let's say?
Yeah, and I see, Colin, I'm not 100% sure about it, to be honest. Not to be too ignorant about it, but I don't know how they're going to go forward with this. It's something obviously very, very new to the scene, so I'm not sure what they're looking at. I do believe there's prize money, is that correct?
Yeah, as far as I know, there is actually prize money. So, you know, if you want to go and make a couple of $100, it's definitely a way to do it. How good the competition will be, what it's being actually judged on, I don't know. There might be more information later on, but again, if you have any questions, go to the website. The phone numbers are listed there for Johnny and Nicoletta, and I'm sure they'll be happy to help you with any more questions that any of our listeners might have. On a whole, though, you know, look, it's something for a guy to train for, if nothing else. It's something for a girl to train for, if nothing else. I don't know how big the turnout will be in terms of in-shape competitors, but again, we don't know exactly what they're actually looking for. So it says fitness model. You know, look, we'll see. I'm sure we'll see some pictures online. We can talk about it when the time comes, but it's not until September, so there's a bit more publicity to be done in the meantime, and I'm sure the interest will definitely spur up. And some of our listeners, you never know, they might throw their hat into the ring and get up on stage in Carlow come September. Craig, with that, we'll move on, unless you have something else you'd like to say.
Yeah, Colin. Like something you mentioned earlier, they're 2 good people. They've been in the Irish bodybuilding scene for a long time, and I do wish them the very best in this. And like anything we can do to help, I'm sure you'll agree with me, we will help them.
Absolutely.
It does strike me as a bit of a like Miss World, where they have to wear an evening dress or Rose of Tralee type of a thing. Yes, look, I hope it goes well for them. I really do. And maybe they can get in contact with us to tell us maybe more about it or something. You know, that might be a good idea. Yeah. What do you think? Yeah,
absolutely. I just would like to also point out they're having 2 VIP guests. To be honest, I don't know who one of the people is. It's Lisa Fitzpatrick. I'm not quite sure who that person is. And then there's Sean O'Brien, and I'm presuming he's a Leinster and Ireland rugby player. So, you know, if you want to meet either of those folks, they're going to be there. And the main sponsor is Olympia Gym in College Street in Carlow. They are a local business, so, you know, try and get out and support them, especially if you're in the Carlow area. Go and support them. And as I said, for those who are not aware of who Johnny and Nicoletta are, I mean, Johnny was Mr. Ireland, former Mr. Ireland. Nicoletta is Miss Ireland, I believe, currently. She's also won the World Championship. And, you know, Johnny was in the Mr. Universe finals as well. So, you know, they've got definitely bodybuilding and fitness or figure experience behind them, or body fitness, as I think it's called back home. So, you know, they've been to shows. Hopefully they can put on a good show here for the people who do attend and the people who compete. And like we say, we'll have a little bit more coverage come the time of the actual competition itself. And again, visit the website if you have more questions, or if you'd like to field questions to us, we can pass them on to the guys back in Carlow. Craig, let's move on. So we're going to go into our our top fives of the week. This week, as we said last week, we're going to go into top 5 training DVDs. I'm going to give my top 5 up second. That gives me a slight advantage in case I forgot one that you might list. So, Craig, if you want to go forwards with your top 5, give us small reason as to why, and why should it be in someone else's DVD collection.
Very clever going second. I'll think of that one in future.
Yeah.
Right. There really is only one place to start. It's got to be Pumping Iron at number 1. It has to be. It's got to be. For me, anyway. It's what started bodybuilding. It's pretty much any bodybuilder worth his salt has seen it at this stage, countless times probably. Just the banter, the charisma shown by him. It's just a fantastic DVD. Number 2.
Craig, tell us who's actually in Pumping Iron for those who don't know.
Oh, sorry, that would be Jay Cutler. Yeah, 1970, a young Jay. No, but 1975. That was Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he was trying to retain his title. Coming up against him, you had the likes of Lou Ferrigno, Frank Zane. Who else was there? Can you throw a few more names? Like anything off the top of my head, Colin?
Yeah, you had Mike Platts and Kenny Walker. It was basically all rolled around in Peoria, South Africa. So they travelled there. We were told at least that part of the scenarios within the DVD or within the Pumping Iron movie itself were staged. There's some scenes in there like a little bit of the mind games and misplacing people's clothes and shirts right before going on stage, so they're a little bit flustered and out of sync. Whether that was actually staged or not, look, we're told it was. Chances are it was, to be honest, because what are the chances of the cameras being there at the exact times all the time? But look, it's a good one. It definitely is. Lou Ferrigno, I believe, wasn't very happy with the movie once he saw it himself. He believes he was portrayed in a negative light. But that seems to be the case with everything Louis does. When he's on Celebrity Apprentice there recently, he was constantly believing that everyone was against him and that nobody was on his side, and there seems to be a really big chip on Louis' left shoulder there. I'm not quite sure what it's from, but he needs to get rid of it and he needs to move forwards and forget about his wins or losses in bodybuilding now that he's an actor, and he's done quite well. He's been in movies and stuff, so his career has gone forward after bodybuilding. And of course Arnold Schwarzenegger, this is really what kicked him into the forefront. It was in standard cinemas on release in 1975-76, and from there then he went on to do all of his big action stuff, from Conan to all the Terminators, and Twins is his biggest movie to date. Yeah, that's right. So it definitely kicked a few guys in. It gave a few more good publicity for the magazines, especially back then. The internet wasn't around, so that DVD was definitely something that the bodybuilders or anyone who was interested in lifting weights basically would go and see. I remember the first time I saw the cover of that video was in a small video store in Carlow, which some of our listeners might know was called Oscars. And at the time they just did videos, no video games or DVDs or anything like that, and I remember going in, and on the front cover, of course, you have Arnold Schwarzenegger doing his right arm bicep. He's just got one bicep up, the other one's by his side. And I remember looking at his bicep thinking it looked kind of weird because he had such a crazy peak. And, every time I'd go back in, I'd try and show my friends who hadn't seen it before, and we'd all kind of giggle and laugh. But little did I know, 10, 15 years later, after seeing that DVD or video box, I was trying to create that same arm myself. So we live and learn, but definitely Pumping Iron is one of my favourites. What else is on your list, Craig?
Alright, coming in at number 2. Now I will say before I go on, guys, these are DVDs I've seen, so if people might go in, this has got to be number 1, this has got to be number 2, it's ones I've seen, guys. Okay, my top 5. So Jay Cutler's One Step Closer, which was given to me by you, Colin, actually, I think.
Yep.
And that was a very, very good. That was one of the first proper modern some training DVDs I've watched, and that sticks in my head because you gave it to me probably 6 or 7 years ago, 6 years ago maybe. In at number 3, I'll go with Ronnie Coleman's Relentless, just because of his style of training in it and the amount of weight the guy lifts, and he's paying for it now, but it's incredible. For anyone who hasn't seen that DVD, it's definitely worth a purchase, guys. He's front squatting like ridiculous amounts of weight. I can't even remember, it could be like something like 600 pounds or something ridiculous, but it's incredible. It really, really is. In at number 4, I have Dorian Yates' Blood and Guts. It's as hardcore as you're going to get, guys. It really is. The guy is just in a different league when it comes to training intensity. It's incredible. And he deserves like his what word am I looking for now? He deserves his, what way did I put it? He deserves his 6 Olympias, which is he had, but people used to talk about his style of training, and when you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Another guy who had to retire early because he was lifting ridiculous weights. Remember, he got 6 Olympias at 30, and he retired at 35, guys, so just goes to show. In at number 5, I have Kevin Levrone Maryland Muscle Machine. Now, this is one I absolutely love. It's good music. It's actually, if I think it's correctly, it's his own band that's playing in the background.
It is, yeah. It's a band called Full Blown.
There you go.
But go on, yeah.
Yeah, that's a fantastic. And to me, I think Kevin Levrone was the greatest athlete to never win the Olympia in my eyes. I love the guy's physique. Absolutely love it. No, that's top 5 for me, guys. I will put in one more. It's not a training DVD per se, but it's bigger, stronger, faster. It's absolutely a fantastic DVD, guys. It's only came out, maybe it's a documentary based around training, steroids, etc., etc. It's actually really, really interesting. It gives both sides of the coin, so it's not a training DVD, guys, but it's definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it. How about you, Colin?
I just like to say it's a good call there with Bigger, Faster, Stronger. I got that on DVD myself. My brother got it for me for my birthday a couple of years back, and it definitely is a really good one. Whether you're into bodybuilding or just sports in general, it gives you an idea of I won't say the drugs that are in sports, but it shows the drugs, they are there. There's the good effects, there's the bad effects. You get some really, really good, interesting insights from some of the top minds in the physiological world. So guys who deal with top athletes, who deal with the use of anabolic steroids, and they show the pros and cons. Mostly pros, I have to say. But look, again, it's something you can watch for yourself. It was put out there by Chris Bell, and basically it's around him, his older brothers. He was the youngest, I believe, or sorry, he's the middle brother, but he was the smallest. So basically he was always questing to be bigger and stronger than his 2 brothers that enter powerlifting meets. And later on, his brother Mark Bell, he actually started super training, I believe. It's in the San Francisco or the Bay Area of California. It's a powerlifting gym. They have some of the big guys in there. They've got their own publication as well. I think it's called Power Magazine. And he's doing really good in that aspect. And then I believe Chris is making another documentary. What it's based upon this time, I'm not sure, but I'm sure it will be of interest to our listeners when it does finally come out. But again, Bigger, Faster, Stronger, definitely a good ad. So Craig, I will let you away with having a top 6 as opposed to our top 5. So my top 5 then are slightly different. Of course, I've included Pump and Iron. I won't go over that again. It's just something you do have to watch. There's no question.
Who's in that?
Yeah, I think it's some guy called Arnold. I'm not sure of his second name. That was, like Craig said, 1975. Really, really good watch. No matter how old or young you are, even if you're not into bodybuilding, you'll enjoy the movie. Second up then, there's no necessary order for these, by the way. We've got The Unbelievable by Ronnie Coleman. This was in year 2000, leading up to the Mr. Olympia. This is basically the first bodybuilding DVD that I actually watched, and the dude is wearing a pair of American flag pants, I think, in the opening scenes, and he's doing some lateral raises with, probably 45-50 pounds, nothing crazy, but his back and his shoulders and the amount of muscle that he's moving around is just crazy, and then the weight that he pushes with that muscle, like you said, Craig, he's front squatting over 600 pounds, and he does a couple of deads with over 800 pounds 2 or 3 weeks out from the Olympia. You know, the guy is just a freak of nature. So Ronnie Coleman's the unbelievable. Then we got a Jay Cutler DVD as well, different to your one, Craig. I'm going to go with From J to Z is the title. It was a 2007 production. It covers Jay training in Gold's Venice, training at Muscle Beach in Venice. In fact, I am actually in the scenes where he is training at Muscle Beach in Venice. I was there on holiday that particular week, and I happened to be there when he was filming his video. So you will see me in the background, guys. Look out for the skinny white guy. And, you know, that's definitely one for me. Because I was in the Venice area as many times as I have been, that he's training at Gold's Gym, you know, and he really shows what he has achieved from bodybuilding. You'll see his house, you'll see his cars. You know, the dude has done really well for himself. I think we mentioned it in last week's show as well. Another one that I have is Battle for the Olympia 2000. So this one was put out by MOC Productions, which is Mitsuru Okabe. It was a long-running series which is now ceased, I believe. But, you know, basically they would go around to the likes of Dexter Jackson, Kevin Rowan, Orville Burke, Sean Ray, Lee Priest, Flex Wheeler, Dennis James, Jay Cutler, Gunther Schlierkamp, and Ronnie Coleman, and they'd film one training session with them. So you're talking about 5.5 weeks out with one guy, 5 weeks with the next, 4.5 weeks, all the way up to the Olympia. And, you know, you can see the strategy that they're trying to put in place in terms of, you know, well, I know Ronnie Coleman's going to be coming in at 275 pounds this season. I was trying to get bigger. Or you've got guys who are clearly saying, well, I'm not going to try and compete with that. The likes of your Sean Rays, who were probably 210, 212 on stage, you know, play second and third in the Olympia 7 or 8 times. So, you know, you don't always have to be the biggest guy on stage. And like we said earlier with the 212 class, you know, with that coming forward, they seem to be showing that they're looking for the best physique and not the biggest physique. And to me, Craig, if Sean Ray was around now with that 212 class, I don't think he'd have any competition. No. Totally. And then my last one is a slightly different one. It's by a guy called Bob Ciccarello. He's the Athletes Rep, the IFBB Athletes Rep. It was in 2006, and it was for 10 weeks leading up to and including the World Masters Championships. And the movie's called War for the World. Now the reason I like this one particularly, again, it's prior to a competition, so you see him changing from, let's say, 12% body fat to 10, and you see his weight dropping on the scale as the weeks go by. And, you know, there's kind of a no bullshit approach to it, so it's good. He has some good training tips in there, or tips du jour as he'll call them, tips of the day. And I like Bob's character. He's good, he's fun, and he's definitely, you know, it's easy to watch him train. You know, it's not just the same crap, just dumping weights on the floor. He trains smart. He might have the best physique in the world, but, you know, he knows what he's doing, and he's been around the bodybuilding scene for years and years and years. And he's competed for years, and he never got there to the pro stage until his late 30s, and, you know, this was kind of his final competition, and he has not competed since. So it's definitely a good one to watch. That's War for the Worlds with Bob Ciccarello. And basically, Craig, they're my top 5. I will also put in that 6th one, a Bigger, Faster, Stronger, as you did. There are lots more out there for people to watch. If we didn't get to something that you wanted us to mention, or if there was a DVD out there that we might not have seen ourselves, you know, let us know. We'll definitely mention it next time on the air, and, you know, if you want to give your quick review of it, we'll be glad to read that out as well. With the next up, Craig, we've got questions and answers. You know, basically we put it out there to our listeners. If they want to ask us a question on health and fitness or bodybuilding or nutrition, you know, send it in to us via email or on our Facebook page, and we did get some responses, and we're going to go through some of those tonight. Craig, I'm going to read out the first question here to you. It's coming from Emer and Kerry. Well, actually, I'm going to read out. There was a multiple of questions within her main question, let's say. So okay. I'll give you the 4 main questions, let's say, first, and then you can go back forth and give us your opinion on them. Alright, so Emer and Kerry got through to us on our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Your Physique Radio. And she wants to know, what are the basics of building muscle? Craig, any ideas on what that is?
The basics of building muscle, okay.
Yeah, the very basics.
The easiest way to do this, I suppose, would be repeat a given exercise until the muscle is almost fully fatigued, and then having the appropriate nutrients in your system, in your bloodstream, to repair that muscle so it can get stronger and more toned, etc.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. You know, what you said, it's straight to the point. There's no need to elaborate any more than that. Gaining muscle and losing weight. Emer wants to know, is it possible to do both at the same time?
To gain muscle, you must be in a calorie surplus. You must, or at least be breaking even, at least, so you're having a balance, a calorie balance. So generally, as a general rule, you can't gain muscle and lose weight at the same time. If that's something you're thinking of, I probably would think again and either do one first and then towards the other, or vice versa. But don't try to lose weight and gain muscle at the same time, because you'll probably be on a fast road to nowhere, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree. What I would say with that is, you know, you'll have a lot of people who say, well, can't I just turn the fat into muscle? You know, unfortunately, you can use the fat for fuel throughout the day, but, you know, fat does not translate or turn into muscle within the human physiology. So, sorry guys, it's not possible to turn fat into muscle, no matter what you may have heard or read. Craig, another question that Emer had within her larger question, I say, was clean eating versus dieting. She basically wants to know, what is the difference? Can you define the difference between clean eating versus dieting?
Well, how would I describe clean eating? Right, clean eating is eating enough proper food to allow your body to gain muscle, you know, or maintain muscle. Plus, with clean eating, it doesn't have to be 100% clean all the time. So if you wanted a cheat meal, maybe 2 a week, you know, you can have that. It doesn't have to be perfect, especially when you're gaining muscle. Now, when you're dieting, it's a totally different story, because dieting, I probably say, is clean eating, but you have to be in a calorie deficit, and you have to be pretty much 100% every day to see results, which I think is probably overlooked by a lot of people. I see a lot of people think Monday to Friday is enough, and they can binge at the weekend. You know, Friday go out, Saturday go out, eat kind of terrible calorie-laden foods, and then start again on Monday. And I see that a lot, Colin, and you probably do too. And people are losing a pound, maybe a pound and a half Monday to Friday, and they're putting pretty much it all back on by the following Monday. Yeah. And they can't understand why they're losing weight. To me, that's a big thing. Actually, it's a big issue, guys.
You see, the when you're on a diet and you hear guys say that I have one cheat meal per week. It might be called a cheat meal, it might look like a cheat meal, but in reality it has a function within the body. You know, it's to kickstart your metabolism again. It's not for the sake of cheating. You know, it absolutely has a purpose. So when you're on 5-6 days of, you know, less calories than your body needs, or less nutrients, your metabolism will slightly slow down. And then by having that cheat meal, let's say, you're increasing the calories, you're going in surplus for one day, let's say, but in reality over the course of the week you're still below what you should be, so you're still going to be negative calories, you're still going to be losing weight the following week, but you gave your body that rest on the weekend, so it feels like, well, I'm going to work hard for another week, and you'll still see those progressions in terms of weight loss. The last question then from Emer, we've got cardio fitness and building muscle at the same time. What pros and cons are there? Plus, what do we do diet-wise?
Well, this is something that can be done, but it requires a lot of attention to detail, guys. I mean, being cardio fit for bodybuilding and weightlifting purposes will help you because of your lung capacity will have increased through cardiovascular fitness. So if you can, you know, breathe deeper, breathe easier, it will help you in the weight room. And if you can be stronger, if you can last longer in the weight room, obviously you're going to gain more muscle. Now the cons, like I said, it does require a lot of attention to detail, and high intensity training will want to break down muscle, but that's something obviously you don't want to do, so that's going to take a lot of work through your diet. And this is the most important thing here, guys, is your diet. Protein will have to make up at least 50% of your diet, because you want to maintain all your hard-earned muscle. You know. What else? Yeah, eating complex carbohydrates too at the right time is going to be important. If I do a ratio, just off the top of my head, obviously everyone's going to be different, but if I was getting cardiovascularly fit and trying to maintain my muscle, I'd probably be doing about 15% protein, 30 to 35% carbohydrate, and about 15% fat. Healthy fat size now, healthy fats. So it's a big difference. That's probably. I hope I answered your questions okay, Emer. And if you want me to elaborate on anything, feel free to send back in another question. That's no problem. Anything else there, Colin?
We have got a couple of more questions, but before we go, I would just like to say that the question and answer segment is brought to you by Body Benefit Health and Fitness. For more information, visit Body Benefit Health and Fitness on Facebook, and you can get in touch with us there through their contact page. Just send them a message of any information. They've got lots of good tips, and they've got really good services that you can take on board and use to reach your fitness goals. So not only listening to us here on the radio, we're going to give you tips and whatnot, but again, reach out to Body Benefit Health and Fitness, and they're on Facebook. They're a really good organisation, and we thank them for supporting our show this week. Craig, our second question comes in from a gentleman in Waterford, Pat, and I'm going to go with this one. I'll read out the question first, and then I'll give you an answer to what it is. Basically, Pat wants to know, many emergency services, including the Guards, Fire Brigade and the Army, etc., have a basic fitness test of running 1 mile in 10 minutes. If somebody wanted to train for that, starting from absolute scratch, zero fitness, how best should they do it? Alright, now, Pat, basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a very, very brief rundown on what I feel is the easiest approach to it. The actual in detail answer we will post on Facebook for you and our listeners to have a look at, but just the basic one from here. So first things first, you want to get the right running shoe. Alright, go to your local sports store, ask the salesperson for some help. If they have gait analysis, you want to use it. Basically, they'll put you on a treadmill, they'll ask you to walk or jog, and they can assess whether you're rotating in your heel or you're going out, and they can give you a shoe that will fit, or possibly prescribe an orthotic that will fit into your current shoe. But remember, absolutely, first and foremost, don't buy the shoe based on fashion, buy it for function. Alright, function is the absolute most important part. Secondly, you want to ask how much time you've got to achieve the goal. So is it in 2 months' time, 6 months? Once you know that, then you can set out the following principles in place. So the frequency, the intensity, the time, the type. For this, I'm going to presume that it's in 10 weeks' time for argument's sake. And basically the requirements in an ideal world would be a 400 metre running track. So go down to your local athletic club. 4 laps of that track is going to equal 1 mile. Alright, if you can get your hands on a heart rate monitor, again at your local sports store, that's where you want to get one of those. A heart rate monitor is absolutely invaluable while you're training for fitness. It's going to give you immediate feedback as you're running as to if you've got any more energy in there, if you need to start slowing down. I just can't say enough about heart rate training. If you do get a heart rate monitor, I would suggest that you keep your average heart rate between 65 and 75% of your estimated maximum heart rate. Alright. Now your maximum heart rate is 220 minus your age. So if you're 20 years old, take 20 away from 220 and you're going to get 200 beats per minute as your maximum heart rate. Now this is an estimate. You may go higher than that, you may be lower than that, but we're going to say 200 is the max before you go into cardiac arrest, and that's a heart attack. So we do not want that to happen. Then to stay on the safe side, where you're actually using oxygen as opposed to creatine phosphate or ATP for energy, we don't want to exercise in the really, really high ranges. We're going to stay between 65 and 75% of your maximum heart rate. So that's 130 to 150 beats per minute for a 20-year-old male. That's your target range, 130 to 150. Your wristwatch will tell you that. It will receive the numbers from your heart rate band, which you will wear across your chest, and they will come together when you buy them in a store. I would like to also preface this with, like you said, you're sedentary or you're coming from scratch, zero fitness. seek a doctor's clearance before taking on any exercise routine, be it one that we recommend or you see in a magazine. Have a check-in with your local GP first and make sure that he or she feels that exercise is going to benefit you and not hinder anything you might be trying to achieve. The frequency is then based upon 10 weeks. We're going to go week 1, you're going to do 3 days a week, week 2, 3 days a week, week 3, 3 days a week. And as you go, you're going to start from walking only on week 1, walking only week 2, walking and jogging week 3. And the process kind of keeps going forwards and forwards and forwards until you come to week 10. Now, it's not a complete simple science. You will have to adjust little things here and there if you feel it's too easy. You're going to jog for longer, walk for shorter. At the moment, I've got you starting out with 30 seconds of a run, 30 seconds of a walk. It progresses to 45 seconds of a run, 15 seconds of a walk. And then the course of distance, we're actually going to go further than what you asked for. You asked for a mile. If you want to be in the emergency services, if you can only run a mile at your absolute maximum, I don't think you should be applying for the exams. Always be able to do more than you're required. Even if it comes down to test day and it means you can just run the required distance faster, it's going to look a hell of a lot better for you than for the guy who barely struggled across the line. So again, there's 10 weeks there. It goes from walking to jogging to a little bit of gym work included if you can get to a gym, because by all means, if you can train the muscle for slightly higher repetition than, say, a muscle building, so we're talking 15, 20 repetitions, the information will be on Facebook. Once you hear this, click on the Facebook. The training routine will be there. Some people will say run less than the race distance, but this is an interview basically. Your 1 mile, how fast you can do it, is an interview. You want to make sure that you can achieve that 1 mile prior to the actual test itself. So I am actually going to suggest that you do run further. We're going to go up as far as 2 miles in your 10-week training period. So when it comes to test time, that 1 mile is going to be absolutely simple to achieve. Your average running speed only needs to be 6 miles per hour to cover 1 mile in 10 minutes. Get onto a treadmill. Can you do 6 miles an hour for 10 minutes already? Chances are a lot of people out there already can with zero fitness. So try it out. The actual full routine will be on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Your Physique Radio. If you have any questions about it, if you want us to go a little bit more in depth or specialize it, or if it's too easy or too difficult for you, let us know, or whoever it's for, let us know, and we'll get back and we'll give you some more advice and some adaptation to the training routine so that it's more specific, let's say. Alright, Craig, we've got another question here. This one is coming from Mark. Mark is down in Cork, and I'm going to read out the question to you here, Craig. There's a bit of length to it, so bear with me. Alright?
Okay.
Hi guys, I have a 15-year-old who has approached me to train him. He is looking to strengthen up for Gaelic football. He is 6'2", 70 kilos, that's 154 pounds, with a body mass index of 19.77. Now, I added that body mass index there myself, guys. I'll tell you why in a moment. Going back to the question, we need to avoid injury and maintain mobility. Any advice would be appreciated. So, Craig, the reason I added in BMI was, for the average person, BMI it's a decent reference point in terms of height to weight ratio, so it's your body mass index. But I think for an athlete or somebody who is competitively playing sports who does require to hold some muscle, to me BMI stands for bullshit measuring indicator. I mean, it doesn't give you anything. For me, I'm almost in the obese range. I'm at 29.4 on BMI, and my body fat isn't higher than probably 12%. So it's for somebody who has muscle, it's absolutely irrelevant. But for the average Joe, I won't say it's a perfect science, but it's not a bad indicator. But for someone who's playing football, Craig, he's 15 years old, 6'2", 70 kilos. What would you recommend to avoid injury and maintain mobility?
Okay, Mark. Well, the first thing, and I would do anyway, and definitely, is when you are training him, make sure his technique, his form, is absolutely flawless. Because at 15 years old, his growth plates have not yet fused he'll still be growing more than likely, you know. So bad technique will actually hinder this. So that's something you don't want on your conscience. Secondly, I would start the guy with all basic compound movements. And I wouldn't kill the guy, so maybe twice a week at the start. And maybe Monday and a Thursday, Tuesday and a Friday, etc. So and give it maybe 2 to 3 days gap in between sessions. So I'd be looking at getting him doing squats, leg presses, deadlifts, bench press, incline press, you know, shoulder presses, lat pull downs, etc. All multiple joint exercises, good. Multiple joint exercises, they will pack on the muscle. You know, both with multiple joint exercises, the technique, like I said, Mark, has to be pretty good, mate. I wouldn't go doing flies and curls and tricep push downs, all that kind of stuff. You know, your isolated movements, they won't really benefit him that much until he's got his compound movements down. Another thing is, from the GA perspective, hope I don't disrespect any of our GA listeners here, but I see it a lot where guys don't want to train legs because they think, firstly, that they have enough leg training done out in the field, and secondly, that it'll slow them down. Two of the most ridiculous statements I probably hear on a regular basis, if I'm honest. Now, having muscle in your leg, that's where your power and speed comes from. That's where muscle, it doesn't come from your bones, guys. It doesn't come from fat, it comes from muscle. You look at Usain Bolt, Carl Lewis, any of the greatest 100-meter sprinters, Jonah Lomu, one of the fastest rugby players of all time. These guys had massive legs and they run at incredible speeds. So no GA guy is ever going to tell me that my legs are too big, I need to cut them down because they're slowing down because you're not fit enough. What else could I say? Yeah, he's probably not getting enough leg work out in the field anyway. And I guarantee, Mark, if this 15-year-old starts getting his leg presses and deadlifts and squats in, especially them exercises in with you, his legs will be much, much stronger. I guarantee the guy will be able to jump higher, run faster, and he'll be much stronger on the pitch. Which obviously, and if he can still play, if he's still a decent player, he's going to be a really good player. You know, maybe Kerry can come calling, or Cork, depending on where you are. Right, so that's what I add. Oh yeah, I might add one more thing actually. You mentioned Colin, he was a 70 kgs, is it? 71?
Yeah.
Yeah. At 6'2", the guy to me is very, very slender, so he does need to pack on probably another maybe 10 kgs, 22 pounds, guys, at least. But like, I would do it slowly and make sure it's a pretty solid 20 pounds anyway, you know. So give yourself maybe 12 to 18 months to looking at that range, you know, which is achievable, especially at his age. But just do it through diet and a good workout ethic. So, and you should get there. So, Mark, I hope that answers your question, mate. I believe that leaves us with all our Q&A session over. Any of you want to come in with any more questions, guys, you email us, Facebook us, and we'll have them on next week's show. The next segment will be just a preview of what's happening for next week's show, guys. So we're nearly the Hartford Pro Show, which is coming up in the 26th, I think, of June. So we've another 3 or 4 weeks, and hopefully we'll be able to give you more of a rundown on this, because as of now we've only got 1 or 2 bodybuilders who are officially entered. So by this time next week, hopefully we'll have more names for you guys. Again, we'll have our topic of the week, and next week I believe it's using your mind to get ahead. And that's just not in sport, guys, that's in everything, but we're going to base it around training and sport. The top 5 diet mistakes, we could probably do top 50 each if we wanted, but we'll stick to our top 5. I give 5 and Colin will give 5, and again our Q&A will be back next week, guys. So get your questions into us and we'll answer them as best we can. Now, what I will say, guys, my answers and Colin answers are our opinions. They might be 100% right, we believe they're right, and textbook will probably believe they're right, and you could pretty much go with it, but don't live on our every word. Like anything, guys, go do some research for yourself on what we said. If we're wrong, let us know. We won't be though. What can I say? So what's the next segment, Colin? We're probably just wrapping up, are we?
Right, yeah, basically, yeah. I just like to give people our contact information if they would like to get in touch with us. You can contact myself directly through yourphysiquepersonaltraining.com. You can get Craig through facebook.com/Castlemaine Gym, or you can contact the show on facebook.com/yourphysiqueradio. We're also at yourphysiqueradio@gmail.com, and we've just recently set up our Twitter account @Physique Radio, so that's @Physique Radio. And any of those outlets, guys, you can get your questions to us, either personally or for the show, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. So Craig, that brings us to the end of episode number 2 of Your Physique Radio. So far so good. Hopefully the listeners will keep tuning in as they have been, and our numbers will keep getting higher and higher. So you, the listener out there, only you can do that for us, so we do appreciate you and your support. Spread the word. We are here. We're on every week on iTunes and YouTube and on our Facebook page. So Craig, until next week, remember, it's your physique
and it's your choice.